Oh, what's that? All right, we are ready. Okay, thank you. All right. Why don't we chant the prayers to the Lord and sing it a little bit?
Oh, jai.
You're all into a Vishnu mood tonight.
Jai.
Namaste, Narasrinaya.
Namaste, Narasimhaya.
Radha La, Dayane. Ranyakashi, Purvakshaka.
Ranyakashi, Purvakshaka.
Siyatamka, Kolaye. Paramahansa Paravadikacharya Osatena Satashi Shimad, His Divine Grace. Abhaya Chalananda Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Ayamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavanam Ki Jai. Majuradam Ki Jai. Jagadata Sami Ki Jai. Madhamai Ki Jai. Srimati Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Salvena Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Premananda Haribol. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Mudale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachani Nivasesha Shanyavadi Pashat Deshta. Okay, we're even in the guitar. So, today is another special day on the Vaishnav calendar. And, of course, I'm not going to talk about Purnima, which is the full moon. Yes, turn that on. Okay. I am going to talk about Narottama Das Thakur, whose appearance day it is today. So, Om Ganat Simiranda Shah, Gananjana Shalakya Chakshur, Unmilitam Yena, Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. So, Narottama Das Thakur. So, Narottama Das Thakur's biography actually starts with the biography of his spiritual master, Lokanath Goswami. And those of you who went with us today know that we visited the temple. Of course, you had left by that time. We had visited the temple of Lokanath Goswami, which is on the exit of the Radhakund area, and his deities of Radha Vinod. So, Lokanath Goswami was an associate of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Navadvip. He was actually older than Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he had so much love for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he did not want to see Lord Chaitanya take sannyas. Because the devotees prefer to see Lord Chaitanya as a grahastha. Interesting. Why is that? Because as a grahastha, there's more opulence, and you can dress them nicely. For example, if we had Gaudiya deities, which some of you do have, if you dress them as sannyasis, that would not be approved. And actually, I did that, not knowing. When I was a new devotee, I actually had Gaudiya deities, and I dressed them with the dandas and everything like that. And that's not appropriate. We like to see someone enjoying. Just like all of you sometimes say about my diet. It's horrible. It's worse than death. So when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas, his diet was like that too. You know, very, very simple, except on feast days, but generally like that. So, therefore, Lokanath did not want to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as a sannyasi. So therefore, Lord Chaitanya sent him out of Navadvip to Vrindavan, along with his great friend, Bhugarbha Goswami. Remember I talked about that today? Yeah. So they were inseparable. They're actually practically the same person, but in two. And you see this oftentimes in Vaishnava relationships, how there's so much love between two Vaishnavas, they can't separate themselves. I'll give you a little coming attraction as far as Narottama Das Thakur is concerned. He had one associate named Ramchandra Kaviraj. And Ramchandra Kaviraj was a disciple of Srinivasacharya. And he was such a close associate of Narottama Das Thakur that he couldn't leave him for a second. In fact, he couldn't even bear to go home to see his wife. Oh my God. So Narottam one time ordered this Ramchandra Kaviraj, you go home to see your wife. And Ramchandra Kaviraj walked a few meters from the temple where they were staying, and he just couldn't go any further. And he felt so guilty that he had disobeyed Narottama Das Thakur's instructions. He started hitting himself with a broomstick. And when Narottama saw that, Narottama ran up to him and embraced him and said, "It's like you're hitting me." So that's how much love. If you read some of these biographies and accounts of these great saints, particularly, Bhakti Ratnakara by Narahari Sarika, you'll hear how much these Vaishnavas are very attached to each other. You know, everyone, this whole generation. So, because they had love for Krishna, and so they had love for everyone, and especially they had love for each other. There was no criticism, no backbiting, nothing. Just loving relationships between the devotees. What's that? Oh no, I was hoping you wouldn't do that. Because the Bhagavatam says if someone is not a devotee, then everything is just a burden for the body. So, because I'm not a devotee. So. It's like decorating a dead body. So anyway, at least that's the way I feel. So anyway, so Lokanath was sent to Braj, and he definitely wanted to see Lord Chaitanya after Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas. So what he did is he heard Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in South India. So he went to South India, he left Braj, going to South India. And then he heard Lord Chaitanya had left South India and gone to Braj, Vrindavan.
Yeah.
And so he went back to Vrindavan. Then he heard Lord Chaitanya left Vrindavan and gone to Prayag, Allahabad. And so then he was getting ready to leave, and then he had a dream, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Do not leave Vrindavan. We are never separated." Because the order of the spiritual master is not different from the spiritual master. It's just like Prabhupada said that he was never separated from his Guru Maharaj. There's no question of separation. I mean, there's intense feelings of separation. But when one is carrying out the order, there's always spiritual connection. So it's like, I feel like I'm with Prabhupada all the time. And if I wouldn't serve Prabhupada, that would be separation. So, Lord Chaitanya appeared to him in a dream and said, "Do not leave, because you better wait there, because Narottam Das Thakur is going to come and be your disciple." He predicted that. And so, then, shortly thereafter, Lord Chaitanya, he was traveling around, and he had visited this place called Keturi, where Narottam Das Thakur was going to be born. And in Keturi, he went bathing in this river, which is called the Padma River. And of course, it's a hagiography, which sometimes things are exaggerated a little bit. So he went bathing in the Padma River, and he said, "I'm depositing my love of God in the Padma River." Whoops. Okay. And Narottam eventually took birth in Keturi, but he hadn't yet bathed in the river for some reason, even though the river was right there. But from his very birth, he showed the signs of a great devotee. During the Annaprasana ceremony, that's the rice ceremony, where you get grains for the first time, he refused to eat unless it was offered to Krishna. And he was the son of a great king named Krishna Nanda, that's a good name of a king, and his mother's name was Narayani. So when he was 12 years old, Lord Nityananda appeared to him in a dream and says, "You go bathe in the Padma River and you absorb this love of God." So he went bathing in the Padma River, and his complexion changed to a golden color. And he became a madman in Krishna consciousness. So there's very little difference between insanity and being a pure devotee of Krishna. Except a pure devotee keeps it all down. He doesn't manifest his symptoms publicly except in the association of other pure devotees. Like we have the story of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who made sure that anyone who was not a pure devotee would not be allowed to enter the Srivas Anga during the kirtans. And sometimes people got in and Lord Chaitanya did not feel any ecstasy. Like, of course, there's a story about Srivas Thakur's mother-in-law. It's a mother-in-law story. And she got in, she was behind the curtains, and Lord Chaitanya said, I don't feel any ecstasy, someone must be here. They found her behind the curtains, and they chucked her out. Nothing against mothers-in-laws. So, then another time, there was a Brahmin who lived just on, drinking milk, didn't eat or do anything else as far as his sustenance was concerned. And Lord Chaitanya had the same reaction. Eventually the Brahmin apologized and then he became a great devotee. So pure devotees do not generally exhibit their ecstasy outside of the association of other pure devotees. So he bathed and he became apathetic to material life. Does everyone understand what apathetic means? Yeah. That means no feeling, not negative, not positive. Yeah. Sometimes you find immature devotees who are very negative towards material life. Oh, you're Rasta. Yuck. You know? So they're very negative. You know, you find sometimes the men who just like act like that with ladies, you know, chauvinistic stuff. And they're thinking, oh. Anyway, it's because they're in an immature stage of devotional service, not even devotional service, it's like impersonalism, where you actually become negative. We're not negative. We're not positive towards this material world. We engage in Krishna's service, and therefore, Vishwam Purna Shukayate. That means the whole material world becomes blissful for a devotee. So anyway, he became apathetic. And his parents, like those of you from India understand what I'm talking about, that if you became apathetic towards going to the university and studying, and you know, your parents want to get you married, and says, I'm not interested. Ooh. Especially if you're the older son, then no one else can get married until you're married. Isn't it? I mean, it's a crazy thing. I've seen families where the older son doesn't get married, and for some reason or other, you know, maybe he's crazy or maybe he couldn't find anybody. And then no one else in the family, and they're all, you know, the other brothers are like 46 years old.
Yeah.
You seen that?
Yeah. It's quite common.
Quite common. Because the older guy couldn't get married, so the rest of their lives, it's pretty good when they had to be celibate. So, brahmacharis. So anyway, so this is really heavy. You know, Indian culture is really heavy if a kid becomes apathetic. Because all the parents' hopes are reposed in their son, right? For the future, who will take care of us? All this is just like so much pressure, isn't it? In America, it doesn't matter, you know. I became apathetic. And of course, my parents wanted to deprogram me. Hire a psychiatrist. So, his parents were in anxiety because they were from a royal family. They hired guards. And he was just like imprisoned at that time. But he associated with the devotees. They allowed that. And he kept hearing about the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srinivasacharya, who was of the same generation as his. And so he had a dream, and in that dream, Lord Chaitanya said to him, you will be initiated by Lokanath Goswami, and you should escape from home. So one day, he was able to escape. And when he went to Vrindavan, he met Rupa and Sanatana had already passed away, sorry. So he met Srila Jiva Goswami. But the devotees knew that he was coming the next day because they had a dream, and it was revealed to them that Narottama, which means the best person, that's his name, is coming the next day. And he met the remaining Goswamis, and he was instructed by Lord Chaitanya in a dream that he should take initiation from Lokanath Goswami. But the problem was that Lokanath Goswami had taken a vow never to initiate anybody. He just wanted to be just a humble, simple devotee. He just, let me chant Hare Krishna and don't bother me. Like that. Sometimes we think like that. So, anyway. So, Lokanath Goswami refused. And Narottama Das Thakur, or Narottama Das at that time, understood, I had to convince him somehow or other. And the way to convince someone is by doing service for someone. So, without Lokanath knowing, he would go to the place where Lokanath passed stool, which is, basically a latrine or hole in the ground or something like that. And he would clean it every day. And Lokanath Goswami, he went there and he said, who's cleaning this place? And so one day he sort of hid in the bushes and watched, and Narottama came out. And he became so, let's say, obliged to Narottama's service that finally he agreed, also when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised him in a dream. So, Lord Chaitanya said, you rascal, you should initiate him. I gave you instructions to do that. So, while he was in Vrindavan, even though he was initiated by Lokanath Goswami, he got trained by Srila Jiva Goswami. Remember, we talked about Jiva Goswami. Jiva Goswami is considered basically the most erudite scholar, at least Vaishnava scholar of all time. In fact, in Benares University, there's a whole school named after him. And he composed the Shat Shandarbhas. We talked about that today a little bit. Shat Shandarbhas means the 6 treatises on the different aspects of devotional service, beginning with what we call epistemology. Remember I talked about that today?
Yeah.
How do you know what you know? And of course in the Tattva Sandarbha, which has been published in ISKCON. Actually, I have copies of all the Sandarbhas, but anyway, they've been given to me in secret. So in the Tattva Sandarbha, he establishes irrefutably that the Srimad Bhagavatam is the topmost source of information. And he talks about other methods of receiving knowledge, such as pratyaksha, which means direct perception, or anuman, or itihasa, you understand history, or the inductive process, that's anuman. So, anyway, he got trained by Jiva Goswami, along with Shyamananda and Srinivasacharya. And Jiva Goswami gave him and Shyamananda and Srinivas the task of going on Sankirtan. But not just going door to door like Haridas Thakur and Lord Nityananda did, but to do book distribution. But that book distribution consisted of taking the original books of the Goswamis from Vrindavan to Navadvip and the rest of Bengal. So they loaded up copies of the books, and copies were made by hand, obviously. At the Madan Mohan temple, there's actually a Granth Samadhi. Did you know that?
I heard.
There's a Samadhi for the books, where there's some of the original books of the Goswamis are actually entombed. So, and also if you go to I think it's the Vrindavan Research Institute, you can see some of the books of Srila Rupa Goswami. And Lord Chaitanya described that his handwriting looked like lines of pearls on a string. Have you ever seen a copy of his handwriting? Just beautiful handwriting. So anyway, so they took the books and they had guards and an ox cart, and they proceeded gradually. And when they entered Bengal, there was one kingdom called Vana Vishnupura. And in this kingdom, there was a great king named King Vir Homvir. He's a heroic guy, you know. So, but he wasn't that heroic, he was a dacoit. And he had a whole bunch of dacoits and some expert astrologers too working for him. So the astrologers told him there are people coming with invaluable jewels to your kingdom. So he sent out his spies and he found that there were these people coming with a chest on top of an ox cart, and there were guards there, and they thought, you know, there's guards and there's a chest, something's in there. So he called for his dacoits, and the dacoits came and stole the books, stole the chest. So he took the chest down to his basement or whatever, and he was thinking, oh, this is great. And he opened it up, and he saw these books. And the handwriting of Shivaji Goswami. By books, we mean like these palm leaves.
Yeah.
You've seen them before. They were stitched together. So he saw the handwriting of Rupa Goswami and Jiva Goswami. And so he got an anxiety and thought, I've committed an offense. Meantime, Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivas, and Shyamananda are complete anxiety about the whole thing. Why are they in anxiety? Because all these books, you know, it's not that they backed it up on their laptops or something. You know, there were copies in Vrindavan, but no copies there. And they couldn't just like send a fax or something like that, send us a copy. So they were in anxiety. Their whole mission had been spoiled. So Narottam Das Thakur and Shyamananda were sent off to preach. Shyamananda was sent to Orissa, where he became one of the main gurus. That Narottam went to places like Kaituri, where he appeared, and they were preaching Krishna consciousness. So, meantime, Srinivasacharya was assigned the task of looking for the books. The king who had stolen the books had a dream, and Srinivasacharya appeared to him in a dream and said, I'm going to come and retrieve these books. All right, so fast forward, one day the king is having his Bhagavatam class, so even dacoits at that time had Bhagavatam class. So he's sitting down listening to Bhagavatam, and the minister or priest, Brahman, is giving the class. And who walks in but Srinivasacharya, and Srinivasacharya corrects the priest who's giving the class. And the king says, who are you? You know, basically, I'm Srinivas, and I am looking for these books. And he said, oh, I stole them. And he takes Srinivas downstairs to wherever the books were, and he shows Srinivas the books, and Srinivas is happy, of course, and the king surrenders to Srinivasacharya, and he takes initiation, and the queen takes initiation, and they make a rule that everybody in the kingdom has to chant Hare Krishna. Of course, they allowed other religions. I mean, it wasn't heavy, like, you know, they actually were quite liberal. But they made sure that devotees did their rounds every day. Woke up early for Mangalar. No. So, anyway, so the king took initiation. Meantime, Narottam Das Thakur, he went on pilgrimage. And his place of pilgrimage was Navadvip. And when he went to Navadvip, he had a vision, and he was able to see Navadvip as it was when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there so many years before. So we actually, it's called a spurti. Anyone's heard that word before? Yeah. A spurti. Some of you who listen to my classes have heard that word. Where you actually get a vision of something, a very clear vision of something. Like if you were here at Govardhan, and all of a sudden you were walking around the hill, and there was Krishna playing the flute, and he winked at you, and he disappeared. And that happened with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri, it's nice to see Krishna, and he would run into the garden, and Krishna would disappear. So, anyway, so Narottama Das Thakur had that vision, and while he was there, he visited Mother Sachi and some of the other people there, the great devotees who were still there in Navadvip. Then he went to Eka Chakra, and Eka Chakra is the place of Lord Nityananda. And there he visited Janava and Vasudha. Janava, of course, is the wife of Lord Nityananda. Vasudha is also the wife. And when he went there, some Brahmin, old Brahmin, gave him a tour of the whole Ekachakra area. And then what happened is that Brahmin turned into Balaram Nityananda. So the Brahmin was actually Nityananda who gave him a tour of Ekachakra. So then, after that tour of the holy places, he went back to Keturi. And in Keturi, he had this dream that there was a deity in what they call a go-down. For those of you who don't know what a go-down is, that means some sort of place where you keep storage place, or, anyway, storage place. It's a storage place. So anyway, where you keep a lot of stuff, like, so, and where you lock it up. Yeah. And so he had a dream there were deities there. So he went to the owner, and it was a go-down where there was a lot of rice. And he asked the owner, can I look in your go-down? And the owner said, no, because there's snakes in there, and they'll kill you. Many snakes will kill you. So he said, no, please, I'll be all right. So he goes in there, and the snakes sort of, I wouldn't say ran away, they slithered away. And he finds these deities of Lord Chaitanya and Vishnu Priya, and deities of Radha and Krishna, 3 sets of deities he finds there. Then he arranges this big festival during Gaur Purnima at Keturi Gram, where the 6 deities are installed, and he invites Janava Mata as the main person there, the main acharya, to come to officiate over everything. And she also is described in the Bhakti Ratnakara, she also cooks for everyone too. I mean, she's like everyone's mother and guru at the same time. So during that festival, while Narottama Das Thakur is having a kirtan, Lord Chaitanya and his associates appear during the kirtan. And after the kirtan, they disappear. Also, they had a holy festival during the kirtan, because that's the same time of the year as holy. And everyone was throwing red powder. If you read the Bhakti Ratnakara, there's a beautiful description of this particular festival. And so, an amazing, amazing festival, and so many devotees came. It was the main festival at that particular time. So, later on, as Narottama was preaching and initiating devotees, many brahmanas complained that he was accepting disciples, because he was born in what was considered a Shudra family, even though he was a king. It was, in Bengal, it's called a Kayashta family, which is considered Shudra. So, many brahmanas complained, and the king's name was Narasingha. Interesting. They complained to him, and the king said to his scholars, okay, I want you to go and defeat him and actually reestablish Dharma, because he was thinking that Varnashram Dharma means if you're born in a Brahmin family, you're Brahmin. And if you're born in a Kshatriya family, you're Kshatriya. You're born as a Shudra, you're a Shudra, right? So that's not what Bhagavad Gita teaches us, because Bhagavad Gita teaches us Chaturvarnamaya Shashtam, Guna Karma Vibhagasha. People are understood according to their guna qualities and work, not according to their body that they're born with. So basically the king thought, we got to defeat him. So he sent this big scholar named Rupa Narayana. And so he was on his way along with the other scholars to argue with Narottama Das Thakur. And so on the way, the devotees, disciples of Narottama Das Thakur, thought of a plan how to defeat this scholar. And that plan was really interesting. There's these two disciples of Narottama Das Thakur who were experts Sanskrit scholars. One was Ramchandra Kaviraj, who we mentioned before. The other was Ganga Narayan Chakravarti. And so they took up the surface of being shopkeepers in the village before Kaituri. In other words, they just acted as ordinary shopkeepers. One was selling pan. You know what pan is?
Yeah.
And the other was selling vegetables or something like that. And so Rupa Narayan went through this village, and naturally, everybody wants to chew pan in India. Did you do that?
No.
No?
Oh, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, when I was young.
Tell of it?
Yeah, I have in the past, but no really like.
Not today.
The pan is after digestion they used to give us it.
Oh.
That's after the meal, betel leaves and they put a little bit of lime and some sweet.
Yeah, even on all the pujas that we do,
Yeah, I know.
the same pan is.
You offer it and then you...
Yeah, so we take it.
It's an intoxicant.
That's only
Yeah.
to get the...
The betel.
Betel.
Betel. I thought it's pronounced betel, not beetle.
Yeah.
Betel.
Yeah.
Beetle is a bug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Betel. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you didn't pronounce it right. One time Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took it and he, went unconscious. Yeah, so we don't take that. We don't take betel. Please.
No, good. No, when I was young, so our parents used to give
Yeah, you have an excuse.
The kids get it without the beetle.
without the betel.
Without the betel. Okay.
Not sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So anyway, they were pond sellers. So Rupa Narayan stops there to get his pond with betel. And he talks to them, and these two personalities were apparently like just Shudras, pond sellers. Then they start speaking in high class Sanskrit. I go, ooh. This is what's happening. And he asked, who are you? And he said, well, we're just uneducated followers of Narottama Das. So Rupa Narayan had some second thoughts then. And then that night, he had a dream, and Durga appeared to him. And Durga said, I'm going to kill you unless you surrender to Narottama Das Thakur. And, that's a pretty good argument. And so he and the king and the queen got initiated by Narottama Das Thakur. Interesting story, isn't it? So another interesting story about Narottama Das Thakur's great spirituality was one time there was a dacoit named Chand Roy. And he was the son of the king, who was actually a devotee. And he became ghostly haunted. And when he was ghostly haunted, his father, who was the king, went to Narottama Das Thakur and said, please give him mercy and free him from this ghost. Okay. So Narottama Das Thakur chants and does whatever he does to relieve this Chand Roy from the ghost. And Chand Roy just becomes like a normal person, not a dacoit anymore. In fact, he becomes so humble that everyone starts taking advantage of him. And then there's a Yavana king who was previously offended by Chand Roy, who imprisoned Chand Roy, tortured him. But Chand Roy was always chanting the names of the Lord. Nobody could deter him. He was always faithful to his guru under all circumstances. But his father, the king, had another plan how to help Chand Roy escape from prison. So his father called for this tantric who knew the art of transporting himself, teleporting, I should say, from one place to another. And so, something like this Chitralekha, you know Chitralekha? Who was able to transport Aniruddha? Yeah, it's while he's sleeping. So there's sometimes mystic yoginis who can do that.
Valmiki as well
Yeah.
transported Mother Sita to
His ashram.
Ram, where he was about to do the yagna, and she has a doubt whether how can he actually do the yagna without having Sita next to him, and that's where the teleporting of Valmiki actually do that, so that Sita can.
Where's
see
that one?
This is from the Valmiki.
No, it's not in the Valmiki Ramayana. However, Sripad Madhvacharya mentions that Sita was with Ram, but nobody could see her except for Ram. That's what Madhvacharya mentions in his Tatparata Nirnaya commentary on the Mahabharata. Interesting. So, anyway, so this tantric, he comes in and he transports himself into the prison and says to Chandroy, let's get out of here, buddy. And Chandroy says, no, I will never associate with a tantric. I have my guru Narottama Das Thakur. So, therefore, they left him in prison. And this Yavana king thought we were going to kill Chandroy, so they put him basically in front of a mad elephant. And this mad elephant came at Chandroy, and Chandroy nonchalantly grabbed the trunk of the elephant and ripped the trunk off. Try that at home. And the elephant died, of course. You rip someone's nose off, or this is what happens. And so, oh my God, so the king was impressed, and Chandroy got out of prison, was able to worship Narottama Das Thakur, because by his Shraddha, his faith in his spiritual master, Narottama Das Thakur, he attained these powers. It said that within the order of the spiritual master, the success potency is the success potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, this proves it. So, okay, then later on, this is getting to the disappearance pastime of Narottama Das Thakur. But later on, Ramchandra Kaviraj, who I mentioned, had a very close relationship with Narottama Das Thakur, and his guru Srinivasacharya went to Vrindavan together, and they both left this world. And when Narottama Das Thakur heard that they had left this world, he decided, time for me to go too. I cannot live in the world without these devotees. So he told his disciples, you erect a funeral pyre, I'm going to sit on it, enter into a yogic trance, and leave this world. So they did what he asked. Then, some of these ritualistic brahmanas again began to make fun of Narottama Das Thakur. Say, see, that's the inauspicious end for someone who defies the Vedic principles. And so Narottama Das Thakur's disciples, they begged Narottama Das Thakur, don't leave like this. It's not good for us, not good for the reputation. People are criticizing you. So Narottama Das Thakur opened his eyes and manifested a golden Brahman thread on his chest. You know, at that time, people who were not born in Brahmin or Kshatriya families or even Vaishya families, they did not get a Gayatri Mantra thread. They weren't given the Gayatri Mantra. Actually, it was established by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur that those of different castes, every caste, could get a thread if they took a Vaishnava mantra. So this is, you know, there's a whole revolution in Vaishnavism, because previously all the Vaishnavas, and even previously the Vaishnavas who took sannyasa, even if they were Brahmins, would get rid of their threads. Like when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas, no more thread, and no more Sika. Shika. You know, because they were renouncing this world. The sannyasi renounces all connection to caste or creed, varna or ashram. Well, ashram he has. You know, he's dead. That's the system. A sannyasi is supposed to be dead civilly. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he engaged his disciples, or sannyasis in particular, in yukta vairagya. You know, accepting the material energy in Krishna service, which can sometimes be dangerous. Like, even as a sannyasi, you can get attached to things. I always tell the story that when I first took sannyas, the young sannyasis in ISKCON, including me, would generally show off their latest watches to each other. You know, I remember one sannyasi with a Rolex. I was envious, because I only had a Timex. No, I actually had a Casio. I remember Prabhupada one time was given one of the first electronic watches. And it was one of these watches, I had one too, that in order to see the time, it was like an LED or something like that. You had to push the button. And Prabhupada said, what is the use? So, and Prabhupada was never attached to any of those material accoutrements. In fact, when I told you the story before, when Prabhupada was given a Rolex, within a few days another devotee gave Prabhupada a Timex or something like that. And Prabhupada just gave away his Rolex and kept the Timex. Something I would never do. I would say, you're not going to touch you're not going to touch my Rolex. I mean, I even get like extremely upset if you can't find one of my pairs of socks. Today I was yelling at him because he's missing one pair of socks. Imagine. So anyway, let's get to the point. So Narottama Thakur manifested a golden Brahmin thread, and then he got down from the funeral pyre. But still he was determined to leave this world, and so he instructed his devotees, he went bathing in the Ganges, please give me an abhishek with Ganges water. You know, just pour it over my head, and chant this mantra. Actually, Radha Krishna Chaitanya was the mantra they were chanting. Radha Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Chaitanya. Again and again and again. And then as they were massaging him and giving him an abhishek, his body melted into the Ganges and became a whitish substance. That's how he left this world. And they preserved some of this white liquid, and usually they consider it like a milk type substance, dugda. And so they made a dugda samadhi for him. Amazing. And as far as his accomplishments, of course, quite a few accomplishments, but basically he was the exponent of a particular type of kirtan. And, you know, actually Lila Kirtan. In those days when they did kirtan, of course they would chant Hare Krishna and Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Actually it was Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya. That was the mantra. Prabhupada changed it to Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya. The reason is there was a deviant group who was chanting Bhaja Nitai Gaur Radhe Shyam Japa Hare Krishna Hare Ram. And Prabhupada didn't want us associated with that group. So Prabhupada was, like a spiritual master, really was upset with this group, so he wanted to change our mantra. We didn't really change the mantra. It's an introductory word to the mantra. It's not really changing the mantra. He changed the introductory word instead of Jaya to Bhaja. Bhaja instead of Bhaja to Jaya. It's interesting, isn't it? Because you hear in the early days, Prabhupada was chanting Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya. You can listen to some of his recordings. So, but that's not changing the mantra per se. That's just changing the introductory word to the mantra. Another thing I should mention, insofar as the mantras are concerned, nowadays you've got these ritualistic brahmanas, when they're chanting Hare Krishna during the sacrifices, they chant Om before the Hare Krishna mantra. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Probably got very angry when he heard that.
Yes, sweet mantra.
Yeah.
You can't. It's not a Gayatri mantra. And the Hare Krishna mantra stands on its own. It's actually, I wouldn't say almost offensive to chant Hare Krishna mantra like that. So maybe you make sure your Brahmins don't do that.
Yeah.
Just tell them I said so. Anyway, so in this way he disappeared from this world, and he was, a Leela Kirtan. So while they were chanting, they would actually just chant about Lord Chaitanya's Leela, or Krishna's Leela. Pretty amazing. And he would chant, and he wrote in simple, as Prabhupada said, simple Bengali.
Yeah.
Because previously, most of the Vaishnavas, they had to be very erudite Sanskrit scholars. You see, most of our literature previously is all Sanskrit. Jiva Goswami wrote in Sanskrit, Rupa Goswami wrote in Sanskrit, Sanatana Goswami wrote in Sanskrit. However, for the common people like us, we need it in the vernacular. You know what vernacular means?
Yep.
That means the common language.
language.
Common language. Like I need it in English. And of course the Bengali is very beautiful, the Sanskrit's very beautiful, but I like to understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It helps.
Yeah.
It helps my devotion to understand, what I'm saying. So when I'm saying a mantra, for example, when I chant the pranam mantras to Prabhupada, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, I try to think most of the time, I offer my obeisances to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti, Swami Srila Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna. And when I chant the second mantra, I think, Namaste Saraswati Devi. I offer my obeisance to the dear disciple of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who has been sent to this Western world to deal with the nirvishesha, personalism, and voidism that is all pervasive in the Western world. It came from India. Prabhupada said marijuana came from India too. Prabhupada said that. Your contribution to our great culture in America. I tell the story that sometimes we go to temples of Lord Shiva and they're smoking
Yeah.
hashish, not even just marijuana, hashish.
Yeah.
Who is the
What?
multiple times?
Yeah, you remember that.
There's quite a few.
Mahaprashadam,
Mahaprabhu.
Mahaprashadam Govinda. So, anyway, so he had this Leela Kirtan and wrote in simple Bengali, not complex Bengali, but like complex Bengali is called Sadhu Bash. That's like the Chaitanya Charitamrita written in, like in English we have Old English,
Yeah.
Shakespearean English, which is difficult for most Americans now to understand. And Sadhu Bash is something like that. It's like formal Bengali. So he wrote in simple Bengali so everyone could understand. And his books includes books like Prarthana, Prema Bhakti Chandrika, see if I have any other of his books listed. No, many other books listed. Poems, books of poems. And every day we are chanting songs written by Narottama Das Thakur. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Many of the songs we chant as part of our regular morning program are written by Narottama Das Thakur. So we are ingratiated to him. We're indebted to him. for all of his contributions. And Prabhupada loved to sing the songs of Narottam Das Thakur. So anyone have any questions? Yeah.
If Lord Chaitanya told Goswami that he was going to have a disciple, then why
Yeah, now he was still stubborn.
Okay.
Because he didn't want to initiate anyone, because when you get followers, it's just very dangerous devotional service. You know, people say so many nice things about you. Then in the beginning you know that are not true. But after some time, you know, as they say, you repeat a false, but enough time. Like our friend who was running for president of the United States, and Hitler also believed the same thing. You repeat something enough times, something's false, and actually people believe it. So it's a great danger when people, you know, nadanam, najanam, nasundarim, jadijat, isn't it? Nadanam, najanam, nasundarim, isn't it? Amajanmani, janmanishwara, Bhavada. You know, so you get wealth, followers, people like that, you know, just wow. It goes to your head after a while. I mean, look what happened to me. You know, well, look what happened. I'm driving around in a Tesla, you know, with a smartwatch. You know, I used to be a simple brahmachari, sleeping on the floor. Now we have a 4-poster bed, with silk sheets. Not really. Not really. But it's dangerous. And I've seen that happen to some of my godbrothers who took up the service of being sannyasis and gurus. You know, it's just like, oh, it's like going to heaven. So, anyway, he was humble. He didn't want to risk his spiritual life. Even though he was a pure devotee, he was just thinking like that. I mean, look at Jad Bharta. You know Jad Bharta? Jad Bharta.
Yeah.
The second incarnation of Bart Maharaj. You don't know the story yet.
I know the Bharata story.
Yeah, Bart Maharaj became a deer in his next life. And in the life after that, he became this person named Jad Bharta. And as Jad Bharta, he acted stupid. Why did he act stupid? So no one would bother him. You know, his father tried to teach him, you know, before you go into the washroom, bathroom, whatever you call it, from your part of the world, you wash your hand and afterwards. So he didn't wash afterwards. I mean, just, oh my God, it's Moochie. And so he acted just very stupid. In fact, he was used as a scarecrow at one point. You know what a scarecrow is?
Yeah.
They put him out in the fields, you know, they thought the only thing you could do is keep the crows away. And he was taken by the dacoits to be sacrificed as a human sacrifice to the goddess Kali. And he was a great devotee. And of course the goddess Kali burst out from her deity, and she and her associates drank all the blood of the dacoits. So they cut their heads off and, you know, tipped their heads off. Drank the blood. Anyway, don't want to get into that one. So, but he acted stupid until it came time to preach Krishna consciousness. Why did he act stupid? So that nobody would bother him. You know, if you act stupid, your parents are not going to send you to the university, right? Is it, huh? Is it ABC? What's ABC? You know, and then you're free to be a good devotee. Not that you should do that. So anyway, so Lokanath Goswami was very reluctant, like that. And actually, I see some of my godbrothers too. They don't want to take disciples. like one of my dear godbrothers, who's perhaps one of the best devotees in the Krishna conscious movement, Banu Maharaj.
Oh,
He's an amazing devotee. He won't accept disciples. And I'm thinking, oh, he's so qualified. You know, he translates hundreds of Sanskrit books into English. So qualified. And, you know, he started it, didn't start, but he's developed a Chennai temple, Madras. And he, but, you know, he's humble. And some of us, like me, we're not so humble. You know, what you can do. What? Merciful? No. No, just instead of chanting in the Dhanam, the Janam, the Sundaram, I chant the opposite. Dhanam, Dhanam, Janam. Well, Sundaram. So what?
One last question with it. Just you said Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj was the one who allowed.
Not just allowed, but he told the devotees to, you know, he initiated them and he gave them a Brahman throat. Yeah.
So that means that before then, or in other sampradayas, we probably don't see that?
No. They won't do it unless they're born in a Brahmin family.
Yeah, okay.
The only way that they'd have
Yeah.
a Brahmin thread
Yeah.
would be as if they had been born in a Brahmin family, or
Yeah.
sometimes Kshatriya families too,
Mm.
and had gotten that some scar when they were young.
Even the Upanayana.
Upanayana,
Yeah.
when they're young. You know, some of the boys get it at 5 or 6 years of age.
So in the other sampradayas, like you you won't see that.
No, you won't see it. You won't see, well, they won't be sannyasis unless they're born in a Brahmin family, Ramanuja Sampradaya.
So in Vaishnavas, Gurudev, so it's a requirement before you get married, they do Upanayana.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they have, yeah. Technically, it could be down to Vaishyas who would get the Upanayana. Technically.
But they still believe in whatever you're born in is basically the.
Yeah, and particularly, even in Madhvacharya's Tattvavada followers, it's like that, yeah. They believe anyone can become a devotee, but as far as a Brahmin thread or taking sannyas and things like that, they're very strict. With sannyas, they're extremely strict insofar as who can take sannyas. And they also do a whole astrological analysis of someone to see. I mean, there's only certain horoscopes that would indicate that someone could take sannyas. Yeah. They have to have, for example, they have to have Sagittarius and rising in Lagna, anyway, which I have. But I know about that because I had my horoscope analyzed. Yeah. Yeah, there's certain things, you know, where you see it, like someone is going to be extremely lusty, you don't give them sannyas. So, and in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, even if you were a Brahmin before, you get rid of that thing when you take sannyas. Because you're renouncing all social convention. That's the whole point. That's social convention. Having that. And so, yeah. Anyway. So we renounce it, yeah.
Would, if people see like us women and non-Indians doing Gayatri, would they want to know what, like if we were like this or something, would they know what we're doing?
Well, the women do Gayatri.
Okay. But would they
Brahmin.
criticize non-Indian, like Western people?
Nowadays, anything goes. But, you know, certainly, if you go to the Tattvavadis in, where's their headquarters again? I forget, Anyway, if you go meet with the Tattvavadis and the strict followers of Madhvacharya, they'll basically think, you know, these people are not really that much bona fide. That's in Udupi, sorry.
Yeah.
Udupi. It's Udupi. Is their headquarters. And I remember in Vrindavan, when Prabhupada installed the deities, he had the ritualistic brahmanas do the installation, because people would not have respected us Westerners or people from a lower class, so-called lower class families doing it. So Prabhupada understood, he wanted people to accept our temple. And when I participated in the installation in Tirupati, then we had the sannyasis come and actually participate with us. I mean, they were very nice. They didn't discriminate against me. They let me do the Abhishek. But they were actually, in one sense, they were behind the scenes guiding the ceremony. So the people would accept, that's Tirupati.
Yeah.
So we have to be conscious of what, the social norm in different places. So, yeah. But practically, Prabhupada said in Vrindavan, it wasn't the ritualistic brahmanas that installed the deities. It was the chanting of Harinam. But still, sometimes we have to bend a little bit.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, just like if you're opening up a temple and someone gave $500,000,
Listen to that.
you let him, if he's a Brahmin, you let him be the primary person who does the Abhishek. I mean, just like, I'll use this example in ISKCON. When we did the Abhishek of the chakra, giant chakra, I was there. The primary person who was doing the Abhishek was guess who? Ambarish. And me, a great sannyasi, was relegated to the second tier.
What's the chakra?
What?
What's the chakra?
Chakra? I'll throw one at you. Anyway.
The chakra is, what is the big chakra?
It was so big, it was as tall as the ceiling here.
Wow.
You might have seen the pictures.
Yeah.
Google POV chakra, it'll show a man in the size of the chakra.
I got a chance to bathe it.
You bathe it to like.
Well, I had to be above it. There was like a staircase above it. I don't know if you saw the video,
Yeah.
but all the GBC,
Yeah.
I got the chance. The GBC, I got a chance to walk up there and pour water and everything on top of it. It was ecstatic.
Yeah.
They even let me do it.
Oh, they let you do it.
Yeah.
After me, I hope.
Yes, after you.
So anyway,
Maybe because I was with my mother.
yeah.
That might have been why.
So anyway, so what I'm saying is that sometimes, what it's saying, money talks, everybody else walks. So sometimes you really have to bend certain things just to be practical. Like having ritualistic brahmanas participate in an installation. In Bengal, we don't have to do that. Because in Bengal, just about anything goes. But in Vrindavan, you have to be really strict about stuff like that, or at least when Prabhupada was present. Okay, any other questions? That was a nice Abhishek, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Seen the video.
Pretty amazing. There's a video of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seen the video.
It's amazing. They had all sorts of cameras there,
Yeah.
Drones.
zooms.
Drones and
Yeah,
yeah.
drones zooming around the whole time.
Bengali newspaper person took a picture of me holding my baby Krishna. Remember?
Really? Oh, yeah.
And that picture repeatedly goes viral. Like every year someone says, hey, look what's being shared thousands of times.
That's nice.
Yeah, Krishna's famous. You can't really see me, I mean.
You just see the little
you
baby.
see- Yeah, you see baby Krishna.
Okay, time to end. Thank you all very much. All glories to His divine grace. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Prabhupada, Ijai.
Jai.